Thanks. All right, Janice, looking forward to watching you.
Thanks so much. Beautiful soon.
Now, Janet, do you? I'll intro it. Janet. Janet is. We've done lots of business together in the past. We've known each other a hell of a long time. Somebody I trust, somebody I respect as a mum, as a business owner, resilient beyond belief. I don't know quite what she's going to say. Whatever she says is going to be good. I can tell you that much. Do you want the stage to yourself, Janet?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think we should share with the audience what you and I have got in common, bearing in mind that this is about businesses in their first 2 years. Now, what did you and I both do or achieve in our first 2 years in business?
Many things.
Okay.
We've scaled, we've employed
what did we
people.
both win separately?
Oh, there's something like 4,000 awards that you can apply for. Last year, I was finalist for most inspiring entrepreneur of the year, and so Janet and I. It's worth putting your name in. Janet and I. Go on, you say it.
All right. Well, I can't remember what year Gary won it, but
2004. Long time ago.
So in 2015. We both, in our separate years, we won Enfield's Startup Business of the Year.
And I didn't know anything. I was still wet behind the ears, for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, having said that, it might be worth sort of sharing my story slightly from the beginning. I mean, it's up to you, Gary. You probably deserve a break. I'm quite happy to continue now. But
you're a fascinating woman. You deserve the whole stage because anybody that's watching this either live or on the rewind, look up Tadpole Training. They do. I put my team on their sales calls. Yeah. I can endorse you right now. You're very calm. I'm like me. I'm quite manic and I speak quickly. You're like, and you're a great teacher. So
moments, yeah, I can pull that out if it's necessary.
Okay, I'm leaving.
All right. So thank you.
Janet, you put yourself on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You're good.
Fine. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gary, for the introduction. And good to see you, Boyd. I work with Boyd a lot. And Lee, yours was absolutely fascinating. And I've slightly changed what I'm going to say because you covered some of it as well. But I would absolutely endorse what Lee has just said. So, yeah, the reason I mentioned about Enfield's Startup Business of the Year is I will never forget what it was like to be a startup. And those of you who don't know me, I was in a very precarious position, both personally and professionally. The business I ran with my late husband went bust. And in 2013, I found myself with no job, no money, 2 kids. I'd been made homeless. I couldn't get a job. And to add insult to injury, I had to go bankrupt because the people that owed my husband, the people whom my husband owed money to, chased me because they couldn't get him. So when I know that the struggle is there, like some people are really hurting now, I remember, I will never forget what it was like. And I started my business, those of you who live in Enfield, on the McDonald's on the A10 in Enfield because I couldn't afford internet at home. So I took my little laptop and I took my sandwiches, dropped my kids off at school and spent every day at McDonald's using their Wi-Fi. And for the first 3 months, that's how I launched my business. So what I'm going to share with you today is tips on how to easily win customers, but none of them are going to cost you anything. Look, it's easier if you have money, but you can do it without money. If you've got in here the knowledge, if you've got the determination, in my case, I didn't really have a choice. It was either fight and claw my way out of the dreadful place I was in, or just give up, and that was kind of like my life over. So I would encourage you, if you've got that fire within you, don't worry too much if you haven't got everything right yet. You'll never feel like you've got everything right, but I can give you some techniques. So the first thing I want to say to you before I get into some actual techniques is I want to do some mindset stuff, because exactly as Lee said, people often struggle with sales. Well, why do we struggle with sales? Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons, because we think of the cliche of the pushy salesman, and I'm sorry, gents, it is the salesman that we think of. It's the bloke selling second-hand cars. It's the pushy double glazing salesman. It's the overseas call centre who will talk and talk and talk and won't let you get a word in edgeways, foot in the door, aggressive, pushy sales. Now, we don't want to be like that, because no one's going to talk to us if we're like that. So I understand why you don't want to come across as pushy. So I don't do pushy, do effective, but I don't do pushy. So if that's one of the things that's worrying you, the good news is that's not what sales is about. Good sales is about making recommendations that benefit people and help them achieve a goal or a solution or take away pain. And if your thing does that, then as long as it's a win-win and you both benefit from it, you and the customer, that's good selling. Okay. Now, another reason you might be reluctant to sell is not your fault. It is that you are the product of hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Your ancestors, when they were out on the plains of prehistory, there were lots of scary creatures that could kill them and eat them. So it was in your ancestors' interest to be extremely good at avoiding getting caught and eaten. And the fact that you're alive today is testament to the fact that your ancestors were really good at avoiding frightening situations. So our brains are hardwired to protect us when something scary is happening. So what are the chances of bumping into a saber-toothed tiger walking down Kilburn High Street? Well, not huge, but your brain, when you tell it you're going to ring someone up and they might go, ooh, go away, well, that's as frightening to your brain as an animal that could kill you. So your brain makes your body feel exactly the same feelings. So you get the adrenaline, you get the sickness in the tummy. So if you understand why you feel like that your brain just hasn't evolved quite as much as it should have, then you can cut yourself a bit of slack. Okay, and then the third reason that you might not enjoy selling or you might be put off by it is no one's ever taught you how to do it. Before you learned to drive, you couldn't drive. Before you learned to walk as a child, you couldn't walk. So until someone shows you how to do a thing, it's a mystery. I was talking to one of my clients this morning who's an electrician, and we were having a bit of a joke about it. He said, well, I'm not very good at this sales stuff. And I said, well, I'm not very good at electrical stuff because I've never been taught. So if you are worried by sales, get yourself some training. It could be through someone like me or Boyd. It doesn't have to be. It could be through books. It could be through podcasts. It could be through webinars. But get yourself some skills in place. All right. So I am going to share with you 3 ways that you could potentially have more sales. And they're all free and they're all very easy to do. So my first tip is to remember that selling is serving. It's not aggressive, it's not pushy, it's about helping people. So how can you help people? Well, I am going to give you some suggestions and some tips that anybody can use at any time. So the first tip is get in the mindset that it is a joy to help people. Hopefully you're quite enthusiastic about your product or service. So spread that enthusiasm. You get me talking about sales, you can't stop me. Alright, if I was selling spreadsheets, I'd really struggle because I'm not interested in them. So let the natural joy and enthusiasm you have for your thing shine through. And then remember that it isn't actually about you making money. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but bear with me, I'm going somewhere with this. It's not about you making money, it's about you making money as a result of helping your customer either help them achieve a goal or to stop pain. So as long as you're helping them achieve a goal or helping them stop a pain, then that's okay for a transaction to take place that involves money. So what else can you do that gets you back in that serving and selling mindset? Well, I want you to think about the good old days before there was a global pandemic, when you could actually go into a shop and speak to a shop assistant and they could help you with things. So think of a higher end shop where perhaps you needed help choosing clothes, a suit, a really amazing dress, and the chances are the member of staff that you would deal with would do whatever it took to help you find that ideal outfit. They'd measure you, they try different colours, different sizes, different styles. If nothing is too much trouble, you feel amazing and you're much more likely to buy. So do that for your customers. Make them feel like they are the most important people in the world and not just, a meal ticket and money. Because no one wants to be thought of like that. How would you like it? I'd hate it. And then finally, I think it's Maya Angelou, this quote, but it's so true. People won't remember what you did for them, but they will remember how you made them feel. So if your customers feel amazing because you're going the extra mile, they will return. So that is my first tip for you. So my second tip for you is this. Don't think of it selling. Think of it as being kind and having conversations. Look at the world we're in. It's the toughest of times for so many people. We're talking proper stuff now. We're talking about people dying, people being sick. I think we've got a huge risk of a mass of mental health issues coming up because people are being isolated. People are losing their businesses, losing their jobs. They're under enormous financial pressure. They're homeschooling. There's a lot of worry in the world at the moment. Never mind the fact that we don't know how long it's going to go on for. Will it be repeated? It's a dark place and people are struggling. So this is my biggest sales tip for you. Be kind and have conversations. All right? Yeah, you might be talking about your stuff, but show an interest in people. Give them time to talk to you. Ask, how are you? And mean it. And listen. I picked up a lot of work during the first pandemic because I realised people had time to talk. So I suggest you just ring up your customers, your prospective customers, without a sales agenda. Just ring them up and ask them how they are. How are you coping? How's lockdown treating you? Can I help with anything? Now, sometimes, and this is what happened to me, some of them will go, well, lovely, they'll have the conversation, and they might come to you and go, well, actually, now you're on the phone, I want to talk to you about working with you. Fabulous. Do what you need to do. A lot of them, perhaps the majority, won't. But here's the beautiful bit. Later, if you need to call them back, perhaps to do a sales call, they'll pick the phone up because they remember you were that nice person who didn't try to sell to them. You just rang up to see how they were. And that's what building relationships is all about. So let people talk, show an interest, care, be human. These are not difficult things. And can you see how they are so different from the pushy cliche of the salesman that we were talking about earlier? So that's my second big tip. My third big tip was inspired by me on Sunday going down my allotment. So I've just taken on an allotment and I love it. And do you know what I was doing all of Saturday pretty much? I was shoveling manure. I was splashing around in mud. I was getting really dirty. But I didn't mind. I was excited to do it because shoveling manure, digging over the soil, is getting things ready. You get things ready and you plant seeds in the cold times, the tough times, the hard times. So as a gardener, I know that the effort I put in when the ground looks dead and when the days are short and the weather is cold, I know those seeds will start to germinate soon because spring's just around the corner. I know that in the good months in the summer, things will grow. And it's like that with your customers. If you've got no customers, now's when you need to start looking for customers. And the more effort you put into it, the more customers you're going to get. You don't plant a seed thinking, it's not going to grow. You plant the seed thinking, I'm really optimistic that that's going to give me abundance later in the year. So it's the same with customers and prospects. Approach them. have the hope, have the expectation that when the time is right, they will buy from you. And for some of them, that time will be right now. For some of them, it might be in a month. For some of them, it might be in 6 months. I've been going 8 years now. I now get people who heard about me years ago and they decide the time is right and come to me. So keep planting those seeds. Some will fail, but some will grow. And just like plants, nurture your prospects. Okay, so Lee was talking about follow-up. I checked the statistics, it's one that I'm familiar with, and 80% of sales are made on the 12th contact. 80%. So have it in your head, I've got to contact people at least 12 times. But going back to the plant analogy, you want to look after your plants, but you don't want to smother them. You don't want to overwater them. Because in terms of customers, that's stalking. Okay, you don't want to go there. But appropriate and relevant and useful and consistent follow-up is totally appropriate. So, I guess my final message here is, if you plant nothing, then you'll get nothing. So what you should be thinking to yourself is, am I putting in the effort to do prospecting? Am I putting in the effort to get customers for the future? Hopefully some of them will come through now, possibly they will come through later. But if you plant nothing, you will get nothing. So, that's it. I just want to inspire you. Get out there, whether it's phone calls, whether it's sending texts, whether it's emails. Use the marketing strategies some of the amazing experts on here have told you. But get out there, and what you'll find is some things will work, do them the most, some things won't work. It's okay to drop them, and then some techniques and strategies are kind of in the middle. So can you adapt it? Can you change it? Can you do something a bit different? But always, always keep prospecting, because the prospecting work you do in the hard times, yes, it will bear fruit in the good times, but don't then, when the good times are here, stop prospecting, because then you end up in this sort of strange feast and famine cycle. And as a new business, that's really common. So, that is pretty much it for me. Everyone seems to be having a free offer, so I'll tell you what my free offer is. I work predominantly with small businesses, and one of the most valuable services that people use from me, which I'm prepared to offer for free, is mystery calling. What I do here is, if you have a team of people and you want to check that they are doing phone calls properly, I will call as a mystery caller, pretending to be a customer. I'll record the phone conversation, and then we can sit down together and analyse how they did. And it's totally free, but later a lot of people sometimes come and say, well, you know what, I want some training done for my staff, or it could be the feedback I give you enables you to do training for your staff. So if you think you would be interested in that, I'm just putting a link to my calendar in the chat. You are very welcome to come along and book I think I've called it a virtual coffee. Yeah, if you want to, I will be very happy to honour that. And I'm now going to throw the floor open. Are there any questions?
I'm joining you. Nick, if your internet's good, there he is. There he is. I've missed you. Yeah.
I hear just about hanging on by a thread.
And what brilliant speakers we've had so far. It's been a feast. If you're into self-development, if you're a brand new business, this has been sponsored by Cleartone. You can ring that number, 027 101 4040, and you get a free landline. And that's so valuable. Janet will give you a free audit, if I'm not mistaken there.
Mystery call.
Mystery call.
Calls your staff.
That's quite something. Nick, you really put something special on here. Thank you. Really good. Janet, have you been watching? Have you been listening?
Yeah, that would be very useful. I might give you a call.
Thank you. Well, I've been dipping in and out during the day, so I caught a bit of Maureen. I caught most of Lee's, but I could only do this long because I've actually got quite a busy day today. But The good news is I can now just sit back and relax and listen to everyone who's to come, because I'm free for an hour.
Wow. Well, we've got to thank all the speakers. They've given up their time because they're passionate about helping start-up businesses. Janet, something Nick and I have been asking all day: how has COVID? Have you learned any lessons from COVID, good or bad?
I think it's brought out, in the majority of people, I think it's brought out their better side.